When we say discipline your mind, most people immediately think of control. Control like holding the reins of a wild horse. But the mind is not a horse. The mind is like a monkey, drunk, bitten by a scorpion. And then you gave it a cup of coffee. That is how restless it is. Now, what do you do with such a creature? If you try to fight with it, you will lose. If you try to cage it, you will suffer. So discipline is not suppression. Discipline is about direction. Think of this. Fire is a beautiful thing. If it sits in the fireplace, it gives you warmth. If it sits in the stove, it cooks your food. But if the same fire falls on your carpet, suddenly it is a disaster. The fire did not change, only where it was placed changed. The mind is exactly the same. If it runs wild, it burns you with anxiety, fear, and endless chatter. But if it becomes focused, if it becomes disciplined, it can light up your whole life. Let me ask you, do you have a mind, or does the mind have you? If your thoughts happen the way you want, if your emotions happen the way you want, would you ever be miserable? Discipline means this, that you sit in the driver's seat of your own inner world. But discipline is not about punishment. It is not about forcing the mind to shut up. It is about giving it something higher to chew on. A lion tamer does not fight the lion. He simply distracts it with a piece of meat. Similarly, if you give your mind a vision greater than its little compulsions, it naturally aligns itself. So, discipline your mind not with chains, but with clarity, not with force, but with focus. You will see that what was once your tormentor will become your greatest tool. If you do not learn to discipline your mind, life will discipline it for you, in the form of stress, confusion, and suffering. But if you do it consciously, life becomes a possibility, not a problem. The question is simple. Do you want to live with a monkey mind or a luminous one? When we speak of discipline, most people immediately imagine rules, restrictions, or control. The very word often feels heavy, as if it demands sacrifice or suppression. But when it comes to the mind, discipline is not about suppression. It is not about choking the natural flow of thought or forcing silence upon yourself. Discipline is direction. It is the ability to take the immense energy of the mind and channel it towards something meaningful, rather than letting it scatter in 1,000 directions. The mind is a magnificent instrument, but left without direction, it behaves like a restless child. One moment it is fascinated by a thought. The next moment it jumps to another. You decide to focus on a task, yet within seconds you are distracted. A memory arises, an emotion follows, a desire appears, and soon you find yourself pulled in many directions. It is not that the mind is wrong for doing this. It is simply undirected energy. Like water that flows wherever the slope takes it, the mind will also flow wherever your unconscious tendencies push it. If you give it no direction, it will take its own, and often that direction leads to confusion, worry, or distraction. Imagine a river. If the river flows wild without a channel, it can flood villages, wash away homes, and create destruction. But when the same river is directed, when it is harnessed, it can turn turbines, generate power, irrigate fields, and nurture life. The water is not different, the energy is not different, only the direction has changed. This is what discipline does to the mind. It does not change the nature of the mind. It does not demand that you kill your thoughts or suppress them. It simply channels them in a way that serves your growth and well-being. Suppression is when you try to stop what is natural. If you attempt to shut down thoughts by force, you are fighting the very nature of the mind. It is like trying to hold your breath and thinking you will find peace in that. You may manage for a few seconds, but soon the system will revolt, and you will gasp for air. In the same way, trying to suppress thoughts will only make them come back stronger, with more force. What you resist within yourself always grows in power. This is why people who struggle against their own minds often suffer more. They try to control the mind by building walls, but a restless mind will always find cracks to slip through. Direction, on the other hand, is entirely different. Direction means you give the mind something higher, something purposeful, something worth its energy. Instead of trying to silence it, you teach it where to go. When you are deeply absorbed in something you love, notice how the mind becomes quiet without force. It is not that the thoughts have disappeared, but they no longer matter because all your energy is flowing in one direction. The mind becomes steady not because of suppression, but because of alignment. Think of a magnifying glass under the sun. The sun's rays are always there, but scattered, they do not burn anything. When the magnifying glass focuses the rays into one point, suddenly the energy is so concentrated that it can set fire to a piece of paper. The sun has not changed, the glass has not created new energy, it has only given direction. The mind is like the sun's rays. Left scattered, it lacks strength. Given direction, it has the power to ignite transformation. Discipline of the mind, therefore, is not about control in the rigid sense. It is not about punishing yourself for wandering thoughts or forcing yourself into silence. It is about awareness. When you become aware of where your mind is going, you can gently but firmly redirect it. Every time it strays, you bring it back, not with harshness but with clarity. Slowly, like training a young tree to grow upright with the support of a stick, the mind begins to find its own discipline through guidance. The beauty of discipline as direction is that it frees you rather than confines you. People often think discipline limits freedom. In truth, the opposite is the case. Without direction, the mind enslaves you. It drags you wherever it wishes, tossing you between past and future, between fear and desire. But with direction, you begin to experience freedom because you are no longer a captive of your own mental wanderings. You can choose where your energy goes. You can choose how to think, how to feel, how to respond. That is true freedom. Consider someone learning to play a musical instrument. In the beginning, their fingers wander aimlessly, creating noise. But when the teacher gives direction, place this finger here, press this string, move in this rhythm, the noise becomes music. The player is not suppressing the instrument, they are guiding it. With enough practice, the direction becomes natural and beautiful melodies flow. In the same way, when you give direction to your mind, life stops being noise and begins to feel like music. Discipline also means knowing the difference between what serves you and what does not. The mind constantly produces thoughts, some useful, many unnecessary. Without discipline, you give equal attention to all of them, and soon you are exhausted by endless chatter. But when there is direction, you choose consciously. This thought deserves my energy, that one does not. This clarity is what makes the mind powerful. It is like a gardener who knows which plants to water and which weeds to pull out. It is important to see that direction is not rigidity. Discipline does not mean you must always walk in a straight line. Sometimes life demands flexibility, sometimes stillness, sometimes movement. Direction means you are conscious of where you are going, even if the path curves. Without direction, every distraction becomes a detour. With direction, even detours become part of the journey because you know the destination. The difference between suppression and direction is the difference between forcing silence on a child and teaching the child to sing. Suppression kills vitality, direction enhances it. Suppression creates struggle, direction creates flow. Suppression is fear-driven, direction is vision-driven. The disciplined mind is not lifeless. It is alive, creative, and yet steady. When you begin to practice discipline as direction, you notice the quality of your life changes. Small distractions no longer pull you away. Reactions lose their grip. Clarity sharpens. Energy gathers. You begin to feel as though your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are aligned, moving in harmony rather than in conflict. What once felt like chaos becomes coherence, and coherence is power. An undisciplined mind is like living with a constant storm inside. It pulls you in every direction at once, never allowing you to rest, never letting you experience the stillness that is natural to your being. One moment it throws you into the past, making you relive regrets and mistakes. Another moment it hurls you into the future, filling you with anxiety about things that have not yet happened. The body may be sitting in one place, but the mind is endlessly wandering. This wandering is not freedom. It is imprisonment in a cage of compulsive thinking. That is why an undisciplined mind becomes the greatest source of human suffering. When the mind is without discipline, it magnifies even the smallest problems into great burdens. A simple word spoken by someone can echo in your head for days. A small mistake can replay in your thoughts 100 times until it feels like a mountain. The mind does not know where to stop, so it goes on chewing the same worry, the same memory, the same fear. Left unchecked, it becomes like a broken record, repeating endlessly until it exhausts you. The pain you experience is rarely the situation itself. It is the way your undisciplined mind keeps dragging you into unnecessary drama. An undisciplined mind is also never fully present. It does not let you enjoy the beauty of what is before you. You may be sitting with loved ones, but the mind is busy calculating bills, replaying arguments, or imagining disasters. You may be walking under a sunset, but the mind is too preoccupied to notice the colors in the sky. The moments of life slip away unnoticed, not because they are not beautiful, but because the mind is too restless to be with them. Such a mind steals the richness of life. On the other hand, a disciplined mind becomes the most powerful tool a human being can possess. When the mind is disciplined, thoughts no longer run wild. They move with precision. They serve you instead of enslaving you. The disciplined mind knows when to focus sharply and when to let go. It knows how to step back when thoughts are unnecessary and how to dive deep when clarity is needed. It is not that a disciplined mind has no thoughts. It is that thoughts happen consciously, not compulsively. Consider the difference between scattered sunlight and focused sunlight through a lens. Scattered rays light the world, but focused rays can set a fire. The mind works the same way. When scattered, it keeps you busy without true impact. When disciplined, it has the power to cut through confusion, to solve problems, to create, to manifest visions into reality. Many people complain of lack of energy, but it is not energy they lack. It is discipline of the mind. An undisciplined mind wastes energy in unnecessary loops, while a disciplined mind gathers energy into direction and power. With a disciplined mind, suffering is no longer your constant companion. Challenges may come, but they do not shake you in the same way. The mind does not magnify them into monsters. Instead, it looks at them directly and seeks solutions. A disciplined mind creates resilience because it is no longer tossed about by every wave of thought or emotion. It learns to hold steady, like the roots of a tree that remain firm even as the winds blow. A disciplined mind also opens the door to deeper states of joy. Joy is not found by endlessly chasing after pleasures. It comes when the mind is settled, when it is not constantly scattering your attention. In discipline, you discover the ability to be still, to taste the simple contentment of just being. Even in ordinary moments, the disciplined mind finds beauty because it is fully present. That presence is in itself a profound source of joy. Without discipline, the mind becomes your enemy, tricking you into believing that every thought it produces is true, every fear is real, every desire must be chased. With discipline, you begin to see thoughts for what they are, passing waves on the surface of a vast ocean. You can use them when needed, but you are not compelled to drown in them. This distance, this space between you and your thoughts, is the gift of discipline. Every human achievement, from the smallest skill to the greatest creation, is born out of a disciplined mind. The artist who paints, the musician who plays, the scientist who discovers, All of them rely on the ability to direct their mental energy without scattering it. Talent alone is not enough. Without discipline, talent burns out. Discipline transforms potential into power. When the mind is disciplined, life itself becomes simpler. Decision-making becomes clearer because the noise of endless chatter has reduced. Relationships become deeper because you are truly present with others instead of half lost in your own inner commentary. Work becomes more fulfilling because your energy is not leaking into distraction. Every area of life improves, not by external change, but because the inner instrument has been sharpened. An undisciplined mind is a source of suffering because it never lets you rest. It never lets you see clearly. It never lets you live fully. A disciplined mind, on the other hand, is a source of power, clarity, resilience, and joy. It does not remove challenges from life, but it changes the way you experience them. It turns the storm inside into stillness, the noise into music, the chaos into coherence. Clarity and focus are the natural outcomes of discipline, but they are achieved not by force, but by a conscious alignment of the mind. Many people think discipline means tightening the grip, holding the mind like a prisoner, and forcing it into silence. But the mind is not tamed through struggle. It is refined through understanding. Force creates resistance, and resistance only makes the mind more rebellious. Clarity and focus are not about suppressing what the mind produces. They are about choosing consciously what deserves your attention and what does not. When clarity is absent, life feels like walking through fog. Every decision is clouded with doubt. Every situation is loaded with confusion. The mind keeps questioning endlessly, but never arrives at answers. Without clarity, even the simplest tasks seem heavy because the mind is busy projecting countless possibilities and fears. But when clarity is present, you see things as they are. You are not deceived by exaggerated fears or blinded by unnecessary desires. You can respond to life directly, without the weight of mental noise. This is the power of discipline that is rooted in focus, not force. Focus is not the art of squeezing the mind into one narrow point by sheer will. True focus happens when you are absorbed in what you are doing, when your energy flows naturally toward it, because there is no distraction pulling you away. A child playing with complete involvement has focus without effort. An artist painting with passion forgets time, and focus arises without struggle. In the same way, discipline works not by demanding force, but by aligning your attention with something that matters deeply. When the direction is clear, focus follows effortlessly. A disciplined mind develops clarity by filtering out what is unnecessary. Thoughts will always arise, emotions will always come, but with clarity you no longer give equal weight to all of them. You learn to separate what is relevant from what is noise. Most suffering arises not because life is unbearable, but because the mind multiplies the problem by adding countless unnecessary layers of thought. With clarity, the extra layers fall away, leaving you with the essence of the situation. Once you see the essence, action becomes simple and effective. Focus is the sharpening of energy, the gathering of scattered attention into one steady stream. When your attention is fragmented, every task takes longer, every effort feels heavy. But when your focus is disciplined, even complex tasks become lighter, because all of you is present in that moment. A beam of light, when scattered, illuminates dimly, but when concentrated into a laser, it cuts through steel. That is what the disciplined focus of the mind can do. Trying to force the mind into silence or focus is like holding a bird in your hand too tightly. You may prevent it from flying, but you also crush its life. The mind is meant to be alive, dynamic, creative. Discipline through clarity does not suffocate this dynamism, it gives it direction. You let the bird fly, but you train it to return to your shoulder. You allow thoughts to arise, but you are not lost in them. This gentle firmness is what makes discipline sustainable. Clarity and focus together transform the way you experience life. With clarity, you see without distortion. With focus, you act without distraction. Together they give rise to a mind that is steady, powerful, and free from unnecessary struggle. A disciplined mind is not empty, it is luminous. It has the ability to hold silence when silence is needed, to generate thought when thought is useful, and to act with precision when action is demanded. Such a mind is not built overnight. It comes through small acts of awareness repeated again and again. Each time you notice your mind drifting and gently bring it back, you are building discipline. Each time you choose clarity over confusion, focus over distraction, you are strengthening the instrument. Over time, the mind becomes a trusted ally rather than a restless master. Clarity and focus cannot be forced, but they can be nurtured. They come when you stop fighting the mind and start guiding it, when you stop trying to silence it and start listening with discernment. The more you nurture clarity, the less you are shaken by doubts. The more you nurture focus, the less you are scattered by distractions. The result is a disciplined mind that does not live in struggle but in balance, a mind that does not consume your energy but magnifies it.